Chosen one, pause right here. Heaven has interrupted your scrolling because this message carries your name. This is not coincidence, it is divine timing. You have felt the shift in the atmosphere around your life, haven't you? The restlessness, the strange stillness, the sense that something unseen is happening beneath the surface. That stirring is not anxiety, it is heaven positioning you. God is preparing you for a miracle that cannot and will not be stopped. You have endured seasons that felt endless. You've stood in places where you could see no progress, where it seemed like heaven was silent. But silence does not mean absence. In fact, the quiet has been sacred. It's been the sound of construction. God has been building in secret what He will reveal in glory. You were never forgotten. You were being refined. The delay was never punishment. It was preparation. Chosen one. Heaven has been shifting everything around you, relationships, opportunities, environments, even your thoughts to align with your divine purpose. You are being strategically placed, like a key fitting perfectly into a lock, and when that alignment clicks, what once resisted you will open effortlessly. Everything you lost will make sense. Everything you questioned will find its answer. The world may have overlooked you, but heaven never did. God has been rewriting your story in rooms where your name has been mentioned in prayer, in prophecy, in promise. Even when you didn't see it, divine hands were working, moving, adjusting, and setting the stage. Your life has been hidden not to be forgotten, but to be revealed at the appointed time. There is a sacred pattern to your pain. The tears, the closed doors, the long waiting, all of it carried a holy assignment. You were not buried, you were planted, and the soil that once felt heavy will soon break open with growth. This is your season of emergence. Heaven is announcing, enough preparation, it's time for manifestation. Listen carefully. Chosen one, you have not missed your moment. What belongs to you cannot pass you by. God's promises are not fragile, they are fortified. Even now, while you stand in what feels like uncertainty, heaven is aligning what's been spoken over your life. You are moving from obscurity to purpose, from process to power. Your faith has not gone unnoticed. Every moment you chose to believe when you could have doubted became a seed. And the Lord, who never forgets a single act of faith, is now commanding a harvest. There are miracles forming in the unseen right now, waiting to burst forth into your visible reality. The Spirit of the Lord reminds you through the writings of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19. See, I am doing a new thing, it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I make a way. Those words are for you, chosen one. God is doing something new, something that will defy logic, surpass expectations, and silence the voices of doubt. He is carving rivers through your dry places, creating paths where there were none. The wilderness was never meant to be your end. It was meant to reveal His power. And when that new thing begins to bloom, you will recognize it not by sight, but by spirit. It will carry peace that makes no sense, favor that finds you without striving, and doors that open without knocking. What once drained you will no longer have access to you, for you will walk in the rhythm of divine ease. Every delay you once cursed will become the very testimony that proves God's perfection. The waiting will transform into worship, the loss into legacy. You will not only witness your miracle, you will become the miracle. The glory of the Lord will rest upon you as undeniable evidence that heaven keeps its promises. So breathe. You don't need to force the miracle, it's already moving toward you. You don't have to chase what heaven has assigned to find you. Just stay in position, stay faithful, and stay open. The moment of unveiling is closer than you think. You are not behind schedule. You are exactly where divine timing has placed you. The story of your struggle will soon become the testimony of your strength. The miracle that's forming will not just bless you. It will ripple through generations connected to your obedience. Beloved chosen one, if your spirit bears witness that this message is yours, if you feel that deep inner confirmation that heaven is speaking directly to you, don't let this moment pass. Type 777 in the comments as a prophetic declaration that you are aligned with divine movement. Like this message, share it with another soul who's waiting for their miracle, and subscribe to stay connected to the flow of what heaven is releasing next. This is not random inspiration, it is revelation. Heaven has chosen this moment to remind you what God is preparing for you cannot be stopped. Your light is rising, your path is clearing, and your miracle is already in motion. Stand firm, for the new thing is beginning now. Everything is shifting. Chosen one. You can feel it even when you cannot explain it, the familiar structures of your life trembling beneath unseen hands. What once felt stable now feels uncertain, and the path that used to make sense suddenly looks blurred. But don't let fear interpret what heaven is arranging. You are not losing control. You are witnessing divine rearrangement. What appears to be falling apart is actually falling into place. There are moments in your journey when God will interrupt your comfort to create capacity. That's what this season is about. He is enlarging the space of your faith. He is stretching your understanding, dismantling the walls of limitation that your past built. When life begins to shake, it's not because heaven has abandoned you. It's because heaven is preparing room for the blessing that's coming. Everything that was once convenient is being tested now. People are being moved, doors are being closed, familiar rhythms are being disrupted. But each shift carries purpose. God is not a God of confusion, He is a God of coordination. Every detail, every sudden change, every lost opportunity, every uncomfortable transition has been written into the choreography of your destiny. When God is positioning you, He will sometimes allow confusion to strip away comfort. The things that once defined you may no longer fit. The relationships that used to feel right may suddenly grow distant. The spaces that once inspired you might now feel too small. Don't resist it. Transformation never happens in comfort. Divine alignment often begins in holy discomfort. Chosen one. Remember the pattern of heaven. Before the promise comes the pruning. Before the crown comes the cross. Before the miracle comes the movement. You are standing in the middle of a divine rearrangement that is setting the stage for your breakthrough. What looks like dismantling is actually design. God removes what cannot remain so that only what is eternal can stand. Your spirit may feel unsettled, but the hand of God is steady. You are being positioned into places where your anointing will be required. You are being aligned with people who carry keys to your next dimension. Some of them you will recognize as divine helpers, others will come disguised as challenges. Yet both will play a role in fulfilling the prophecy over your life. In this season, you must learn to trust what you cannot trace. Faith is not about seeing the full plan. It's about following the voice that leads you one step at a time. The path of purpose is never straight. It curves through valleys, it climbs over mountains, it crosses waters that test your courage. But every step, even the trembling ones, are being guided by heaven's light. The Spirit speaks through the writings of Paul in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him greatly. That ancient truth is your anchor in this shaking season. Nothing that has happened is wasted. Even the pain you thought would break you has been repurposed to build you. The disappointment that tried to drown your faith has now become the evidence that you were chosen for something greater. Every piece of your story, every failure, every heartbreak, Every closed door is being woven into the tapestry of divine goodness. You may not see it now, but the pattern will reveal itself. There will come a day when you look back and thank God for every no that redirected you to the right yes. You will thank Him for every delay that prevented premature arrival, for every detour that preserved your destiny. When heaven rearranges, it is not punishment, it is protection. The divine hand of God does not only build, it also removes. It dismantles what you once depended on so that your faith can mature. You are being trained to walk by faith, not by sight. What He is preparing for you cannot fit inside the boundaries of logic or human approval. This rearrangement is not meant to break you. It is meant to reveal how unshakable you truly are. You may find yourself letting go of people or places that no longer align with your spirit. It will hurt, but it will also heal. Every exit is an invitation for elevation. Every ending holds the whisper of a beginning. And when the dust settles, you will see that what left your life was never meant to carry your crown. So breathe through the shaking. Beloved, what is moving around you is not chaos. It is choreography. The season of rearrangement is the evidence that heaven is active. God is not silent, He is strategic. Your foundation is being reinforced for what's coming next. Chosen one, you have walked through the waiting, you have endured the silence, and yet deep inside you still believe. That belief, that quiet flame that refuses to go out, is the evidence of divine preparation. You see, what felt like delay was actually sacred development. Heaven has been working behind the curtain of time, perfecting details you didn't even know needed adjusting. The hidden seasons of your life have been more productive than the visible ones. When you thought nothing was happening, heaven was building a foundation strong enough to hold the miracle that's on its way. It's why doors didn't open when you wanted them to. It's why certain people couldn't stay. You weren't being punished, you were being preserved, hidden, yes, forgotten, never. There is power in the unseen process. Seeds are always buried before they bloom. The soil may look like silence, but it's the space where roots take hold. God was rooting your faith deeply so that when the winds of blessing blow, you won't be uprooted by success. The delay was discipline. The quiet was construction. The obscurity was protection. Chosen one, heaven doesn't waste pain. Every trial, every heartbreak, every disappointment was a chisel in the hand of the divine sculptor shaping you for destiny. You learned endurance. You learned how to pray through tears. You learned how to walk by faith and not by sight. You may not have seen the results yet, but every unseen act of faith has registered in heaven's ledger. Now, something is shifting. You are stepping out of preparation into manifestation. The heaviness you've been carrying is not just sorrow, it's the weight of transformation. You are outgrowing old versions of yourself, leaving behind spaces that can no longer contain your purpose. The people who misunderstood your silence will soon witness your unveiling. The Spirit reminds you through the words recorded in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarry. Wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not delay. That is your reassurance. The waiting was not wasted. It was woven into destiny. God's timing may not match your timeline, but His plan has no errors. Every day you thought was lost was a brick in the unseen structure of His promise. You are about to see why you had to wait so long. The outcome will be too perfect to have been rushed. Chosen one, heaven is about to reveal what has been hidden. The things that didn't make sense will suddenly align. People will wonder how you rose so quickly, but they won't understand that what looks like overnight success took years of hidden obedience. The quiet years were never empty. They were divine storage. And now the vault is opening. There is a moment coming when the silence will break, and your spirit will recognize it. You'll feel peace where anxiety used to live. You'll sense grace where fear once reigned. You'll no longer beg for doors to open. Doors will begin to recognize your name. Heaven is about to make visible what you've believed in secret. You may feel unprepared, but you're more ready than you realize. The fire you walked through refined your discernment. The waiting taught you how to hear God without noise. The pain taught you compassion that will carry authority. You are not stepping into this season with weakness. You are entering with divine wisdom earned through endurance. And when it happens, when what you've prayed for becomes visible, remember this moment. Remember the tears, the battles, the silent prayers, the countless why questions. They were not wasted. Every unanswered prayer was actually answered differently, in ways that heaven knew would bless you more deeply. There's a sacred command resting on your heart right now. Heaven is calling you to acknowledge the shift, to agree with what God is doing. If this word resonates in your spirit, type "I receive this." Why? Because words create alignment. When you speak agreement, you open the door for heaven to act. Typing those 3 words isn't superstition, it's a prophetic act of surrender. It says, "I trust your timing. God, I accept your rearrangement. I am ready for what you've prepared." Heaven responds to faith expressed, even in simple words. Chosen one, breathe in this truth: you are not behind, not broken, not forgotten. You are in divine order. Heaven is not late, it is deliberate. The invisible work was necessary for visible glory. You are being ushered into a chapter that will make the pain of the past pale in comparison to the beauty of fulfillment. You have not missed your moment. You were not overlooked. You were hidden so that when you appear, it will be evident that the hand of God placed you there. Every delay has been gathering momentum. Every waiting season has been building pressure, and soon it will burst forth into manifestation. Hold steady, beloved. The waiting is almost over. The miracle is not coming, it's unfolding. And when it fully arrives, every eye will see that heaven was positioning you all along. Chosen one, you have walked roads that were never meant for the faint of heart. There were moments when rejection burned through your spirit like fire, when you knocked on doors that never opened, when people you trusted turned away without explanation. It was painful, yes, but it was also divine. Every closed door, every silent departure was a holy redirection designed by heaven. You thought you were being denied, but in truth you were being delivered from wrong places, wrong people, wrong timing. Chosen one, God never allows rejection without replacement. Every time something left your life, it made space for what was meant to stay. You cannot carry destiny while clinging to what heaven has already removed. Release is painful because your heart still loves what your spirit has outgrown. But even as you let go, trust that heaven never subtracts without intent to multiply. Sometimes, rejection isn't a door closing, it's a compass pointing you elsewhere. The discomfort you felt in those moments was the Spirit's nudge saying, "This isn't your final stop." You outgrew places where you were once comfortable because your calling was expanding. People who once celebrated you no longer understood you because your frequency changed. The silence you met was not failure. It was heaven redirecting your steps to higher ground. If you look back now, you can trace the pattern. Every rejection was followed by revelation. Every loss carried hidden wisdom. Every ending whispered an invitation to something new. What once broke your heart has now built your strength. The people who left made room for divine connections that will love you in truth and not convenience. You did not lose your worth, you simply lost your witnesses. It is in rejection that God refines your identity. When no one affirms you, you learn to hear heaven's voice clearly. When no one celebrates you, you discover that God's approval is enough. Every time you were overlooked, He was watching. Every time you were misunderstood, He was shaping you in silence. You were not disqualified, you were set apart. Chosen one. Take comfort in this truth: rejection never diminishes your anointing. It magnifies it. The more resistance you faced, the clearer your assignment became. The doors that refused you were not yours to enter. The ones that belong to you will swing open without striving. There is no human power that can block what God has designed for your destiny. We are reminded through the sacred words in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 14. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, leave that home or town and shake the dust off your feet. That instruction is not bitterness, it is freedom. It means you no longer have to force belonging where heaven has not appointed it. You can bless what was and move forward without regret. The dust you shake off becomes the soil of your next miracle. What you release will return multiplied in another season. Rejection often births redirection that leads to revelation. Once you stop mourning closed doors, you will see open gates waiting just beyond your tears. The very places that pushed you out will one day witness your divine return, not as a beggar for acceptance, but as a carrier of glory. You are being elevated, not excluded. Look at the story of every chosen one in Scripture. Joseph was rejected by his brothers before ruling a nation. David was forgotten in the field before wearing a crown. Esther was hidden in obscurity before being raised to royalty. Jesus himself was despised and rejected before he redeemed the world. You too walk in that lineage of divine paradox where pain births purpose and rejection leads to resurrection. Chosen one, you must begin to view rejection as redirection wrapped in disguise. Let go of what left. Release the longing for old validation. The people who walked away could not carry the new version of you that God was forming. You are no longer who you were when they knew you. Your spirit has matured beyond their memory. You are not meant to chase after doors that closed. You are meant to discern the gates that heaven is opening. Some spaces were too small for what you now carry. Some relationships could not withstand the weight of your next assignment. Don't take their absence personally. Take it prophetically. It's proof that heaven is moving you. Every disappointment you've faced has been divine direction in disguise. You were never abandoned, you were advanced. Every time someone rejected you, heaven whispered, "You're too chosen to stay here." The rejection that once wounded you will soon become your reason to worship. You will thank God for every no, every goodbye, every season that ended before its time, because all of it led you here to freedom, to alignment, to purpose. Chosen one, every testing season is like standing in the middle of a refining fire. You can feel the heat of uncertainty, the sting of loss, the burn of unanswered prayers, yet somehow through the pain you are still standing. That's not weakness, that's divine endurance. Heaven has been shaping you in secret, purifying you in the furnace of purpose. Imagine a sculptor chiseling marble. Each strike of the hammer seems harsh, yet every impact brings definition to the masterpiece hidden beneath the stone. That's what God has been doing in your life. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every why was a strike of the divine hand, removing what didn't belong so that what's holy, strong, and radiant could emerge. You are not the same as before. You've been refined by heaven's craftsmanship. The trials you've endured were never about punishment. They were about preparation. Gold doesn't fear fire because fire reveals its purity. Likewise, you were placed in situations that tested your patience, your love, your trust so that the strength of your spirit could be proven genuine. Heaven's light shines brightest through the soul that has learned to trust even when it can't trace. You've asked, why did it have to hurt this much? Because the depth of your calling requires depth of character. Shallow roots can't hold heavy crown. God wasn't trying to break you, He was deepening you. The tears you shed were water for the soil of your purpose. Every night you thought would destroy you was actually planting something eternal inside you, chosen one. Don't curse the fire, it was your teacher. The flames you feared have now become the glow that draws others to the warmth of your testimony. The people around you won't be moved by your perfection. They'll be healed by your scars. That's why heaven allowed you to walk through what others couldn't survive, because your survival will become someone else's hope. The Spirit reminds you through the writings in the book of Proverbs. Chapter 17, verse 3. The crucible for silver and the furnace for gold. But the Lord tests the heart. Your heart has been through its testing. Heaven has watched how you handled betrayal, delay, silence, and rejection. You didn't give up, you kept praying, and you didn't curse the darkness, you became a candle within it. You have passed the test not by perfection, but by perseverance. Now, as the fire begins to fade, the light of revelation is rising. You're beginning to see why you had to walk through it. The strength you gained in private is the strength you'll now use in public. You've become a vessel that can carry divine weight. Heaven can trust you with more because you didn't abandon your faith when everything burned. Think of your soul as a garden after a storm. The winds may have bent the trees, but they also carried new seeds into the soil. The rain that soaked the earth wasn't just grief, it was grace. Out of what looked like ruin, new life is already pushing through. You are growing again stronger, wiser, more compassionate. The same ground that once held your tears will soon hold your harvest. And just like a candle, your light is not meant to stay hidden under a cover. It's meant to shine, to guide, to comfort others who are still stumbling through their dark night. Your story is the flame, your words the wick, and your faith the oil that keeps it burning. Don't underestimate how much warmth your testimony can bring to someone else's cold season. So, beloved, if this message has found you in that in-between space where you've come through the fire but aren't sure what to do next, let me say this with gentleness: share your light. Click the like button not for vanity, but as a sign that you are choosing to reflect gratitude instead of grief. Share this message as an act of generosity, because you never know who is silently begging heaven for a sign right now. Your single action might be the thread that pulls another heart back from the edge. And if you feel led, consider sowing into the flow of these messages like a drop of oil poured into a lamp to keep the flame alive. Your contribution, no matter the size, is not just support, it's participation in the spread of light. You become part of a divine chain reaction where one spark ignites another until the whole horizon glows. Each act of giving says, keep the fire burning, stay connected too. Subscribe so that when the next message is released, your spirit will be among the first to hear heaven's whisper. This isn't about numbers, it's about nurture. We are building a sanctuary of words, a refuge of light where souls like yours can rest, recover, and rise again. Every click, every share, every prayer keeps this space alive, a living altar of hope in a noisy world. Chosen one, lift your eyes. The smoke of the fire is clearing, and what's left is gold unbreakable, radiant, and ready. You've been tested, not to prove you unworthy, but to reveal you unstoppable. Now your task is simple: carry the flame forward. Be the reflection of what the fire has taught you. Grace, endurance, compassion. Let your presence remind others that the heat they're feeling is not their end, but their becoming. You are the candle that refuses to die out, the ember that glows even after the storm. Through you, heaven's light finds a vessel, and through that light, others will find their way home. Chosen one. There are moments in life when the invisible becomes undeniable. You begin to sense it, those strange coincidences that feel too precise to be random. Those gentle tugs in your spirit that whisper, "This is not ordinary." You are standing in one of those divine intersections now. Everything that has been confusing, delayed, or uncertain is slowly being drawn into alignment. Heaven is weaving threads that seemed scattered into a pattern too perfect to have been human. Alignment is not always loud. Often, it begins in silence. Things start to fall away quietly, habits, fears, people, even opportunities that no longer match the vibration of your destiny. You start to crave peace more than noise, purpose more than popularity, truth more than comfort. That's when you know heaven is aligning you. Sometimes the greatest movement happens in stillness. You may not see the miracle yet, but your spirit feels the shift, the same way the tide turns before the waves become visible. Heaven is turning the tide of your life right now. You are moving from uncertainty into synchronization. Everything that belongs to you is being magnetized by divine timing. Chosen one. Alignment is not about striving, it is about surrendering. When you stop forcing your own plans and start trusting God's rhythm, things begin to click in ways that defy logic. Doors open without knocking, help arrives without asking. The weight you've been carrying lifts, and you realize that the flow of grace moves faster than the push of effort. You have been through the test, through the fire, through the pruning, and now heaven whispers. The time has come, the clouds are parting, and what once felt impossible is beginning to unfold naturally. You will soon understand why you had to wait, why God protected you from premature opportunities and temporary distractions. Every delay was preservation. Every unanswered prayer was divine redirection. Through the writings recorded in the book of Daniel, chapter 10, verse 14, the voice of heaven speaks. Now I have come to explain to you what will happen to your people in the future. For the vision concerns a time yet to come. That word is not just ancient, it's prophetic for this moment. The appointed time has arrived. What was written over your life before you were born is now reaching manifestation. Heaven is adjusting circumstances, aligning hearts, and opening the gates that lead to destiny's fulfillment. Chosen one. You must understand that alignment is heaven's way of saying ready. When the right season meets the right soul, miracles become inevitable. The shifts you felt recently, the sudden peace, the quiet confidence, the unexplainable sense that something is near are all signs that heaven's clock just struck divine timing. And here's what's beautiful, you don't have to fight for this. You don't have to chase what God has assigned. What's yours will recognize you. The anointing upon your life has a frequency, and everything destined for you is tuned to it. As you rise in faith and obedience, those blessings will find you effortlessly. Still, alignment requires one thing: agreement. You must align not just in circumstance, but in spirit. That means forgiving what hurt you, releasing what no longer fits, and trusting what you cannot yet see. Your faith becomes the bridge between promise and manifestation. Heaven responds to the sound of a heart that says, "I'm ready." If you can feel that readiness in your soul, that holy anticipation that says this message is for you, then let heaven hear your agreement. Type 888 in the comments as a prophetic declaration of new beginnings and divine alignment. Why 888? Because it represents resurrection and renewal, the completion of one cycle and the perfect beginning of another. It's not a superstition, it's a symbol of synchronization. When you type it, You're not typing a number, you're speaking faith into motion. You're saying, God, I'm aligned with your will. I receive what you're preparing. I'm stepping into the new. Chosen one. The signs of alignment will begin small, a conversation that confirms what you prayed about, a sudden opportunity, a peaceful certainty replacing worry. These are heaven's fingerprints. Pay attention to the details. The divine rarely shouts, it whispers. And those who are spiritually awake will recognize the signs and walk boldly through open gates. This is not just another season, it's a turning point. The gears of your destiny are clicking into place. Everything that once resisted you is now cooperating with heaven's plan. The rhythm of your steps is syncing with divine timing, and the melody of your purpose is about to be heard. You will look back on this time and say, that was the moment everything started to make sense. You will realize that the waiting, the pain, the silence, all of it was working toward this alignment. You are standing beneath an open heaven, positioned for blessings that cannot be stopped or stolen. Stay still, stay sensitive, stay surrendered. What's meant for you is now in motion. The unseen is aligning with the seen, and heaven's order is being restored in your life. Chosen one, the closer you get to breakthrough, the more intense the resistance becomes. It's a truth that echoes across every divine story. Before manifestation comes warfare. The enemy does not attack what is empty. He attacks what carries promise. You have felt it, the sudden heaviness, the unexpected fatigue, the strange tension in the atmosphere around you. It's not random, it's spiritual. Darkness can sense that something radiant is about to emerge from your life. There is always a battle in the shadows before the dawn of fulfillment. Just as a mother endures pain before birth, the spiritual womb of your destiny contracts before release. These pressures are not punishments, they are signs that heaven is moving. You are not under attack because you are weak, you are under attack because you are close. Every chosen one must face this moment, the hour when faith and fear wrestle for dominance. But take heart, even in the midst of this unseen war. You are not alone. Heaven has surrounded you with reinforcements. Angels have been dispatched, not at your command, but because of the word that was spoken over your life. Every promise God made to you carries its own protection. The more the darkness tries to close in, the brighter your inner light becomes. That you have noticed it, haven't you? That strange peace that settles on you even when things make no sense. That quiet strength that rises from nowhere. That's not coincidence. It's the evidence of divine presence. The Spirit of God within you refuses to bow to fear. The enemy doesn't fear your past. He fears your potential. He trembles at what you are becoming. Every distraction, every doubt, every delay has been designed to pull you away from the truth of who you are. But your awareness of the battle means you've already begun to win it. The first victory in spiritual warfare is recognition, knowing that the opposition you face is not just physical, but deeply spiritual. Chosen one, warfare is not always loud. Sometimes it comes through exhaustion, confusion, or sudden discouragement. You begin to question your purpose, your worth, your direction. That's the enemy's favorite weapon, whispers of doubt. But remember, doubt can't thrive in a heart full of worship. When you lift your eyes and fix them on heaven, the shadows lose their power. You have authority, not because of who you are, but because of who stands behind you. Every time you choose faith over fear, you remind hell that its strategies have failed. Every moment you keep walking when it would be easier to quit, heaven records it as victory. You are a living testimony that light cannot be extinguished by darkness. It only shines brighter under pressure. The Word of God speaks clearly through the prophet Isaiah. Chapter 54, verse 17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. This is not poetic encouragement, it is divine legislation. Heaven's court has already ruled in your favor. The weapons may form, but they will not function. The plots may be designed, but they will not prosper. Every lie spoken against you will crumble under the weight of truth. You are covered by a covenant that cannot be broken. Even when the battle feels invisible, you are never unarmed. Your worship is your weapon. Your faith is your fortress. Your peace is your power. While the world fights with chaos, you fight by standing still in divine confidence. You don't need to match the noise of darkness. Your stillness already declares victory. Remember the chosen one. Even Jesus faced storms before crossing into new territory. The storm was never meant to stop him, it was meant to reveal his authority. Likewise, the turmoil surrounding you right now is simply the stage where your faith will demonstrate its strength. The wind may roar, but the presence of God remains unshaken inside you. When the pressure rises, don't retreat, press in. Speak light into the dark. Declare peace where confusion reigns. Every time you do, you enforce heaven's order over chaos. You were not called to escape the battle, you were called to transform it. There will be moments when fatigue whispers, "This is too much." In those moments, remember the one who fights for you, the same God who parted seas, who silenced lions, who calmed storms. He is the one standing beside you now. You were never meant to win this fight by strength. You win it by surrender. Chosen one, the shadows are temporary. The resistance is a sign that light is near. When dawn breaks, every dark scheme will dissolve, and what once terrified you will bow at your feet. The same fire that tested you will now illuminate you. Your endurance has become your armor, and your obedience has become your sword. You are not losing, you are lasting. You are not surrounded by defeat, you are encircled by destiny. What stands against you cannot outlast what stands within you. This battle was never about your downfall, it was about your revealing. Heaven is proving through your endurance that divine light is indestructible. Hold your ground. Beloved, keep your peace. The battle is already turning in your favor. And soon, what felt like warfare will transform into worship. Chosen one, there comes a moment when the noise of the world fades and a still, unmistakable voice begins to rise within you. It's soft but strong, gentle yet commanding. It doesn't argue or shout, it simply is. That voice is not imagination, it is the whisper of the divine. The longer you've walked through wilderness seasons, the clearer that inner sound has become. This is the voice that breaks the silence, the guidance that has carried you through storms even when you didn't realize it. For many seasons, you looked for confirmation outside yourself through people, through signs, through circumstances. But now, heaven is teaching you to listen inwardly. The true compass of the chosen is not external approval, but internal revelation. The same spirit that hovered over the waters of creation is the one now stirring inside your chest. When you feel that sudden peace in the middle of panic, that quiet yes that doesn't make sense to your mind but calms your heart, that is the Lord speaking. God does not always thunder from mountaintops. Often he whispers from within. The still small voice that Elijah heard was not found in the earthquake or the fire, but in the quiet wind. Likewise, you are learning that divine communication is not about volume but intimacy. Heaven is not far. It's already inside you. You carry the frequency of your Creator in your spirit, and when you align with it, confusion begins to fall away. Chosen one, this is the season where discernment becomes your greatest treasure. The world around you is loud, filled with opinions, distractions, and endless noise trying to shape your choices. But those who are tuned to heaven's wavelength can walk through chaos with clarity. You are being trained to distinguish between the voice of fear and the voice of faith. Fear demands haste. Faith produces peace. Fear confuses, faith confirms. The Spirit speaks clearly through the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verse 27. My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me. That verse is not a poetic metaphor, it's a divine reminder that you were never meant to wander aimlessly. You are known. You are guided. Every time you sense that subtle nudge that says, go this way or wait, it's heaven directing your path. The enemy tries to mimic this guidance through doubt or distraction, but the difference is simple. God's voice brings stillness, not anxiety. When God speaks, even correction feels like comfort. Chosen one, learning to listen is a form of spiritual maturity. Obedience is not just about rules, it's about rhythm. You are learning to move in step with heaven, to flow instead of force, to walk in sync with divine timing. There will be days when the direction makes no sense. When your mind says stay, but your spirit says go, trust the Spirit. The one who speaks within you sees what lies beyond your sight. Sometimes, His voice will tell you to rest when the world says hurry. Other times, He will push you forward when logic says wait. This is not contradiction, it's calibration. You are being fine-tuned to the language of the Spirit. The more you respond in trust, the clearer that language becomes. Soon, you won't need external signs. Your peace will become your confirmation. There will also be moments when God seems silent again. Don't mistake that silence for distance. Often, He stops speaking because He's waiting for your last act of obedience to mature. Silence is heaven's invitation to remember what was already spoken. When the teacher stops talking, it's because the test has begun. The closer you draw to destiny, the more your discernment will be tested. The enemy will whisper imitation guidance, trying to pull you into premature movements. That's why your grounding in God's voice is vital. You must protect your peace as if it were treasure, because it is. Peace is not passive, it's powerful. It's the signal that heaven approves of your direction. Chosen one. Listen carefully, you are being prepared to lead, not just to follow. And leaders must hear before they speak. The instructions you receive in private will become direction for others in public. Your voice will carry weight not because it's loud, but because it's aligned. Heaven is sharpening your perception, training your hearing so that you can navigate future storms with precision. You will know you've grown when you no longer panic at silence, when you no longer seek validation for every step, when you can stand still in uncertainty and still feel the pulse of peace in your chest. That peace is your divine compass. It's the voice of God saying, I'm here. Keep walking. Chosen one. Obedience is the bridge between revelation and manifestation. You can receive promises, prophecies, and visions, but without obedience, they remain dormant seeds. Heaven's power flows through willing hearts. This is why God often whispers rather than shouts, so that only those truly listening will hear and respond. Every act of obedience, even the smallest one, moves you closer to divine fulfillment. It's not always easy to obey when the path ahead feels unclear. Sometimes obedience feels like stepping into darkness with only a flicker of light, but that small light is enough because it comes from the source. Faith does not require sight, it requires trust. Each time you act in obedience, heaven records it as faith in motion. You may not see the outcome yet, but the spiritual realm begins to shift in your favor the moment you say, Yes, Lord. Obedience is sacred agreement. It's not about perfection, it's about surrender. God is not looking for flawless vessels. He's looking for faithful ones. When you obey in the little things, you prove you can be trusted with greater things. The voice of the Lord is not testing your capacity, it's training your consistency. Every instruction you follow sharpens your discernment for the next. The Spirit reminds us through the writings of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 19. If you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. This verse is not just about physical blessing, it's about wholeness. The good of the land represents the fullness of your divine inheritance: peace, clarity, provision, and purpose. Obedience positions you to receive what grace has already prepared. Grace opens the door, obedience walks through it. Chosen one, every time you follow the prompting of the Spirit, even when it seems small, you are sowing into eternity. Heaven watches not just what you do, but how you do it. Obedience birthed from love carries fragrance. It rises before God as worship. When you obey with a joyful heart, the atmosphere around you begins to change. What felt heavy becomes light. What felt distant becomes near. Yet the path of obedience often passes through valleys of misunderstanding. Not everyone will see what you see or understand what you carry. But your assignment was never meant for the approval of men. The obedience you offer in private will produce evidence in public. Stay steady. Keep walking. The harvest will come. Sometimes God will ask you to take steps that make no sense to logic. He may lead you away from what seems promising into what looks barren, only to reveal that He was hiding rivers beneath the desert. Obedience is the language of faith that says, I don't need to understand, I only need to trust. And those who trust never end in shame. The greatest miracles in Scripture were born from obedience. Noah built when there was no rain. Abraham moved when he didn't know where he was going. Peter cast his net again after a night of failure. Each one obeyed without full explanation, and each one witnessed glory beyond imagination. Their obedience wasn't comfortable, but it was complete. Chosen one. This is the season where your yes carries weight. Heaven is watching for hearts that respond quickly, joyfully, and fully. Delayed obedience can close doors that were meant to open. Immediate obedience unlocks acceleration. The quicker you align, the faster the miracle unfolds. And now, as this word settles in your spirit, you can feel it, a quiet stirring, a holy confirmation that this message is for you. You've heard heaven's whisper before, but now you recognize it. This is your moment to respond. Type, I will obey. Those 3 words may look simple, but they carry spiritual power. When you declare them, you're not speaking to a screen, you're speaking into the spirit realm. You're telling heaven, I align with your will, I surrender my plans. I choose obedience over understanding. Every act of faith requires a declaration, and this one marks your readiness for what's next. Because obedience isn't a one-time act, it's a lifestyle. It's how heaven measures trust. When you keep saying yes to divine direction, you begin to live under open skies. Blessings flow freely, not because you chase them, but because they chase you. Your life is about to reflect the reward of obedience. The patterns that once confused you will make sense. The prayers that once lingered unanswered will begin to manifest. Heaven is not testing you anymore, it's releasing you. What once required faith will now produce fruit. Chosen one. Continue to listen, continue to move, continue to obey. The same God who led you through the shadows will guide you into light. You are walking under the favor of divine instruction. Soon, others will look at your life and see what happens when a heart fully surrenders to heaven's voice. Chosen one. There comes a moment when the wind of heaven begins to move faster than your steps. You sense it, the sudden acceleration, the feeling that time itself has started to favor you. What once took years begins to unfold in days. What once resisted you now seems to open without effort. This is what it feels like when divine momentum takes over. Acceleration is not chaos, it's choreography. Heaven has been aligning every detail in silence, and now the rhythm of purpose quickens. Like an eagle catching the rising wind, you are being lifted without strain. You no longer flap in panic, you glide in trust. Everything that belongs to you is rising with you, and everything that cannot survive the altitude is being released. Chosen one, you've been through the seasons of stillness, of pruning, of patience. But now you are entering the season of swift fulfillment. The promises you've carried are maturing. The prayers you've whispered are sprouting. It's as if heaven has whispered, "Now." And when God says now, no delay can argue. Through the words written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 22, the Spirit declared, "I, the Lord, will hasten it in its time." Acceleration can feel overwhelming at first. Blessings begin to overflow. Opportunities appear without warning. Conversations shift in your favor. But you must remember, speed without stillness can lead to imbalance. So even as everything around you begins to move, stay anchored in peace. The tree that bends with the wind doesn't break. It thrives. Stay flexible, stay humble, and let grace carry you forward. Imagine a river that has long been blocked by stones. When the barrier finally breaks, the water doesn't trickle, it rushes. That's your life right now. Every obstacle that once dammed your flow is collapsing. The prayers you prayed years ago are converging into a flood of favor. Still, it may come suddenly, but it's not sudden to God. He's been preparing this current for a long time. Chosen one, divine acceleration is never just about personal gain, it's about divine purpose. God is moving quickly in your life because there are lives tied to your obedience. Your breakthrough is not just yours, it's the spark for others. Every door opening for you will become a doorway for someone else. You are being blessed to become a bridge. So as this river of favor begins to flow, let gratitude be your paddle. Don't try to control the current, learn to ride it. Let thanksgiving be the rhythm that keeps you steady. Gratitude is the language that heaven understands best. It multiplies what you already have and anchors what is yet to come. You've walked through drought, now you will drink deeply. You've waded through winters, now you'll bloom in a single sunrise. Acceleration doesn't erase the past, it redeems it. Every delay, every detour now folds into purpose. Heaven is paying you back not in equal measure, but in exponential return. Beloved, if these words stir your spirit, if you feel the wind of change brushing against your heart, don't ignore it. Click like as a way of saying, "I feel the shift." It's not about a button, it's about acknowledgement. Each small act of agreement becomes a ripple in this river of divine motion. Share this message so the current can reach others who are still standing at the edge, afraid to step into their flow. Maybe your share is the gentle push they need to believe again. And if your heart feels led, consider sowing into this movement not out of obligation, but as a symbolic act of partnership. Every offering, no matter the size, becomes like a stone of remembrance dropped into the river, a marker that says, "I was here when God moved." Donations are not just transactions, they are echoes of gratitude, living testimonies that say, "I believe in this flow of light." Lastly, subscribe if you haven't yet. Stay connected to the rhythm of these messages, for each one is a wave in the same river. We're building something sacred here, a community that listens together, believes together, and rises together. When one heart awakens, it awakens others. When one candle burns brighter, the whole room begins to glow. Chosen one, the wind is rising and you were born for this. Lift your wings. Don't fear the speed, you were designed to soar. The years that felt wasted were not lost, they were fuel, waiting for ignition. Heaven has struck the match. Now, let your life blaze forward with grace. Chosen one, the closer you draw to your divine unveiling, the more fiercely the opposition tries to hold its ground. The enemy can sense what heaven is doing, and he grows desperate when he realizes he cannot stop it. The pressure you feel now is not punishment. It is the final push before breakthrough. Like a storm that rages hardest before dawn, the darkness is only loud because the light is about to appear. This is the enemy's last stand. He has tried distraction, discouragement, and deception. He has whispered lies about your worth, replayed memories of your failures, and magnified every delay to make you doubt. But none of it can alter what has already been written. The covenant over your life is sealed in eternal ink. You are not fighting for victory, you are fighting from it. The enemy attacks purpose, not people. His war is not against your personality, but against your potential. He fears what happens when you finally step into the fullness of your calling, when your obedience becomes influence and your endurance becomes testimony. That's why the warfare feels personal. It's proof that you carry something powerful. In these moments of heightened pressure, you must remember not all noise is danger. Sometimes the sound of shaking is simply the sound of chains breaking. Every confrontation is evidence that you are advancing. You are no longer standing at the border of breakthrough, you are crossing it. The Spirit of truth assures you through the words written in the letter of James. Chapter 4, verse 7. Submit yourselves, then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. This is not theory, it is law. The enemy cannot linger where submission resides. The moment you align your heart with heaven's authority, every false power must bow. Resistance is not about shouting louder, it's about standing firmer. Your peace is your weapon. Your surrender is your strategy. When you choose to remain anchored in faith, darkness exhausts itself trying to pull you away. You've been through enough storms to know that panic serves no purpose. The wind may roar, but the anchor holds. The enemy may try to distract you with noise, but peace is the silence that confuses him. When you refuse to react, you remind every opposing spirit that your stability is not negotiable. You have learned that the calmest heart carries the greatest power. Chosen one, the enemy's goal is not to destroy you, it's to distract you. If he can't take your anointing, he'll try to make you forget it. That's why your focus is sacred. Protect it. Keep your eyes fixed on what's eternal, not what's temporary. The moment you remember who you are, his weapons crumble. Every attack you've faced has served a hidden purpose. The battles that once terrified you have trained you. You've learned discernment in deception, patience in pressure, faith in fire. What once would have broken you now builds you. You are stronger than before, not because life has been easy, but because grace has been relentless. The battlefield is changing. Chosen one. You are no longer fighting as a wounded soldier. You are standing as a seasoned warrior. You know how to recognize the enemy's patterns now. You've seen how he disguises fear as logic, how he dresses delay as denial. You've learned that victory is not about escaping war, but outlasting it. Even when the fight feels invisible, heaven is active. Angels move at the speed of obedience. Every prayer you've whispered, every tear you've shed, has been ammunition in this unseen battle. God has kept a record of your perseverance, and he is faithful to reward it. You may feel weary, But remember, the enemy's strength is temporary. Yours is eternal. His attacks come in waves, but your endurance flows like a river. He will retreat not because you overpower him, but because he cannot outlast you. Light never loses to darkness, it simply waits for the dawn. Soon, the warfare will fade. You will wake one morning and realize that the heaviness has lifted. That peace has quietly reclaimed your atmosphere. That's how victory often comes, not with trumpets, but with stillness. The ground beneath your feet will feel different because it's been claimed. Chosen one. This is not just the end of a battle, it's the beginning of dominion. You are no longer merely surviving, you are reigning. Every lesson learned, every scar carried, every tear redeemed has positioned you for authority. The enemy did not stop you, and now he cannot reach you. Stand tall, breathe deeply. The storm is passing, and the sky ahead is clear. What once chased you will now serve you. What once wounded you will now witness your victory. You have endured the enemy's last stand, and heaven declares it is finished. Chosen one. There are seasons when heaven hides you in plain sight. You are visible, yet unseen, present, yet overlooked. It feels like the world has moved on while you stand still, but this is not delay. It is divine protection. God has been guarding your development, sheltering your anointing, and shaping your strength in secret places. The waiting room of heaven is not a punishment. It's a preparation chamber. While others seem to be racing ahead, heaven slows your pace so that your roots grow deep. Shallow roots can't carry tall crowns, and the higher the call, the deeper the preparation. Every hidden season is heaven's way of ensuring that when you rise, you remain unshaken. You've spent months, maybe years, wondering when your unveiling would come. You've prayed for evidence, for confirmation, for release, and heaven's answer has been stillness. That silence has been the sound of your crown being forged. The unseen seasons refine you, not to humble you, but to strengthen the glory that will one day rest upon you. Chosen one. God is not just preparing blessings for you, He's preparing you for the blessings. There's a difference between receiving and sustaining. Anyone can catch a blessing. Only the refined can carry it. That's why your waiting has been longer than others. Heaven has been building endurance into your spirit. The Spirit reminds you through the words written in the first letter of Peter, chapter 5, verse 6. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that He may lift you up in due time. In due time, that phrase holds divine weight. It means the moment will come, and when it does, no force in existence can delay it. You won't have to fight for attention, force opportunity, or compete for recognition. The same God who hid you will reveal you, and when He does, the unveiling will be undeniable. In the secret place, you've learned what public stages can't teach: how to hear God's whisper, how to endure without applause, how to keep your fire burning when no one notices. Heaven took you through anonymity so that pride would never corrupt what purity built. You were never forgotten. You were being crowned in private before being honored in public. Hidden seasons are where heaven shapes heroes. David learned kingship tending sheep. Joseph mastered leadership in prison. Esther prepared for royalty in silence. And you, chosen one, are walking that same sacred path. The hiddenness has not been wasted, it has been holy. There's a special kind of beauty that grows in quietness, like a pearl formed in the dark. You have been shaped by pressure and time. The world may not have seen it yet, but the transformation is complete. You don't need to announce your arrival. Heaven will do that for you. When your due time comes, recognition will not come from effort, it will come from radiance. Chosen one, don't despise this waiting season. What feels like delay is actually divine alignment. The longer the preparation, the stronger the revelation. You are being positioned to carry something weighty, an anointing that doesn't fade, a purpose that doesn't fracture under pressure. There will come a day when everything will shift suddenly. Invitations will arrive. Opportunities will multiply. People who once ignored you will look for your wisdom. But by then, you will no longer crave validation. You will move with quiet authority, because hiddenness has taught you humility, and humility is heaven's crown. If this message resonates within your spirit, if you can feel that stirring of divine timing awakening inside, then mark this moment as sacred. Type 444 in the comments as your prophetic sign of readiness and revelation. Why 444? Because it represents the opening of divine doors, the stabilizing of destiny, and the establishment of foundations. It is the number of divine structure, proof that what God builds cannot crumble. When you type it, you're not typing digits, you're declaring alignment. I'm ready for my unveiling. Lord, I've waited, I've trusted, I'm prepared, chosen one. This number is not magic, it's meaning. It's faith given form. It's a small act in the physical that reflects a massive shift in the spiritual. By agreeing with this declaration, you are saying yes to heaven's timing and no to human anxiety. The silence that once haunted you is now about to echo with purpose. You will soon understand why you had to wait, why you were hidden, why doors stayed closed for so long. When the unveiling happens, it won't just be an introduction, it will be an inauguration. You won't return to the places that once ignored you seeking validation. You'll return carrying illumination. Chosen one, lift your eyes. The stage of revelation is being built even as you read these words. The time of concealment is closing. You've been faithful in obscurity, now heaven is preparing your visibility. Not for pride, but for purpose. Not for fame, but for fulfillment. The same mighty hand that hid you is now opening the curtain. The due time has come, and this time, you will shine not by striving, but by divine appointment. Chosen one, the hour of unveiling has arrived. What you once believed by faith, you are now beginning to see with your eyes. The seeds you planted in tears are breaking through the soil, clothed in promise. You can feel it, the air around you is changing. The same ground that once resisted you is now responding to you. You are walking into the season of visible proof. For so long, your prayers were quiet, and your results seemed invisible. You questioned whether heaven had heard you, whether your efforts mattered. But what you couldn't see was the root system beneath the surface. Every hidden act of faith was growing underground, waiting for the appointed moment to bloom. And now, that moment has come. When God begins to unfold his promises, he does it so naturally that it almost feels surreal. Opportunities align, people appear. Circumstances fall into place not because you forced them, but because you finally reached divine timing. What felt like a lifetime of waiting turns suddenly into acceleration. The long, silent years collapse into a single moment of manifestation. The Spirit speaks through the writings of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 40, verse 5. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. For the mouth of the Lord has spoken. Those words were written for moments like this. Heaven's word has not returned void. What was spoken over your life is now materializing in undeniable form. It's not imagination, it's manifestation. The proof of promise is unfolding before you piece by piece, like dawn breaking over the horizon. Chosen one. This is not coincidence, it's completion. Every test you endured, every night you spent wrestling in faith, every step you took without seeing the path, all of it converged into this unveiling. God has not only kept his word, he has exceeded it. You're stepping into blessings that your prayers were too small to describe. There is a calm power about you now. You don't need to explain your journey or justify your breakthrough. Those who once questioned you will see for themselves. The evidence will speak louder than explanation. The same mouths that doubted will declare, "Surely the Lord has been with them." When God reveals His glory, it carries weight. It doesn't come with noise, it comes with authority. You begin to move differently, not with arrogance, but with assurance. The fear that once followed you cannot cross this threshold. The uncertainty that used to bind you dissolves in the light of fulfillment. You now walk in what you once only dreamed. Chosen one. Understand this, the glory is not just upon you, it flows through you. What you're stepping into is not merely blessing, but representation. Heaven is using your life as evidence of divine faithfulness. You've become a living testimony, a walking reminder that what God promises, He performs. You are chosen not just to receive His glory, but to carry it. When people see you now, they will see endurance wrapped in grace, victory clothed in humility. They will sense something unexplainable, a peace that cannot be shaken, a joy that doesn't depend on circumstance. That is the aroma of glory. It follows those who've walked through fire and come out refined. But remember, chosen one. Glory is not a finish line, it's a stewardship. God's glory rests where it's reverenced. The more you honor His presence, the more it remains. This is why humility must stay close to you. Glory without gratitude becomes heavy. Gratitude keeps it holy. You are entering a season where the supernatural will feel natural. Prayers will be answered before they're finished. The doors that open will require no knocking. The favor that follows will seem effortless because heaven's hand is fully upon you. This is the rhythm of the unveiled where obedience becomes overflow. Chosen one, take a deep breath. You've crossed the threshold. You are standing in the light of fulfillment. The pain of the past has lost its sting. It has been replaced by purpose. You will begin to see divine fingerprints on every part of your story, the betrayals, the delays, the heartbreaks, all now woven into beauty. And as the glory unfolds, peace will settle in your spirit like morning dew. You won't need to chase what's yours. You will simply walk, and the path will align beneath your feet. Where there was once striving, there will be stillness. Where there was once questioning, there will be clarity. You are now living in the yes of heaven. The unveiling has begun. Let it happen naturally. You don't need to control the light, it knows how to find you. Just keep walking in truth. Keep honoring what God has given, and keep shining without explanation. You have become living proof that the promises of heaven are not myths, they are miracles written into human stories. Chosen one, you are beginning to understand now that your miracle was never meant to stop with you. Everything God has done, every battle He has brought you through, every tear He has turned into wisdom, none of it was meant to end at your doorstep. You are not merely a receiver of miracles, you are a carrier of them. What heaven placed in you was never meant to be stored, it was meant to flow. From the beginning, your journey was designed to ripple beyond your own story. The light that burns in you is meant to ignite others. The faith that sustained you is meant to sustain many. You were chosen not just to survive the storm, but to lead others through theirs. Every breakthrough you experience becomes a blueprint for someone else's freedom. When God blesses a chosen one, He doesn't stop with the individual, He begins a lineage. The favor on your life is not isolated, it's generational. Your obedience will echo through the lives of people you may never meet. The choices you make in faith today are creating pathways for those who will walk after you. You are shaping a legacy that will whisper through time, saying, "This is what happens when a life yields fully to God." The Spirit speaks clearly through the words recorded in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 8. Freely you have received. Freely give, chosen one. Remember when you thought your pain had no purpose. Now you see that every scar is a story that carries light. Those who are still in their dark nights will recognize themselves in your testimony. When you speak, they'll feel hope stirring again. When you stand, they'll find courage to rise. Your presence will shift atmospheres because it carries evidence. This is the sacred exchange of the chosen. You walk through fire so that others may walk in warmth. You endure storms so that others may learn to sail. You become a living reminder that grace is real, that God still moves, and that miracles still happen to ordinary people who refuse to let go of extraordinary faith. Chosen one, do not underestimate the reach of your life. A single act of kindness, a quiet prayer, a gentle word can become the spark that ignites transformation in another soul. Heaven multiplies impact in ways you may never witness. A seed planted in love may bloom in places you'll never visit. The miracle doesn't end with your testimony, it continues through your compassion. You are part of a divine ecosystem of light. When you lift someone else, heaven lifts you higher. When you encourage another soul, the same comfort you give returns to you multiplied. This is how heaven circulates blessing. It moves through hearts willing to keep the flow alive. Your story is now a message, and your message is becoming movement. You are not merely someone who experienced change. You are an agent of it. When you step into a room, hope follows. When you speak truth, confusion dissolves. The atmosphere responds to the authority of the one who has walked with God through the wilderness and returned carrying fire. The miracle that once seemed personal now takes on purpose. What was given to you as healing becomes a weapon of restoration for others. Your victory becomes a map. Those who once doubted you will soon thank God for you, because through your life, they will find the faith they had lost. Chosen one, your legacy is not measured in possessions or applause, but in impact. It's the lives touched, the faith awakened, the darkness pushed back by the light you carry. The world may never record your name in history books, but heaven has already written it in the book of eternal remembrance. Every time you love instead of hate, every time you forgive instead of retaliate, every time you give instead of withhold, you are performing miracles unseen. And it's important to understand this: carriers of miracles don't need recognition to keep giving. True givers are fueled by revelation, not reaction. You've discovered the secret: what flows through you never runs out. The more you pour, the more you receive. You've tapped into the endless circulation of divine abundance. Chosen one, stand tall in this truth: your life is not small. You are part of heaven's strategy to heal the earth. The same God who entrusted you with endurance now entrusts you with influence. Use it well, with gentleness and with wisdom. Be light in dark places, be rest for weary hearts. Be proof that the impossible still bows before the faithful. You are no longer just the one who needed a miracle. You are the one through whom miracles now move. Heaven flows through you like wind through open branches, quiet, steady, unstoppable. And through your surrender, generations will feel the breeze of redemption. Chosen one, can you hear it? The sound that's been building quietly beneath your steps, the sound of victory. It's not the noise of battle anymore, it's the melody of triumph. Heaven's trumpets are not distant, they're resonating inside you. The long night is over and the morning has come with your name written across the light. This is what victory feels like, not loud and boastful, but calm, certain and radiant. For a long time, you fought battles that no one saw. You smiled while bleeding inside, served faithfully when unseen, believed when logic said to quit. But heaven saw every unseen act of faith, every whispered prayer, every tear you didn't let fall. And now, those hidden sacrifices have formed a symphony that heaven is conducting into manifestation. You are not just walking into victory, you are carrying it. Victory doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it comes like sunrise, gentle, inevitable, unstoppable. You don't hear it arrive, but suddenly everything is bathed in light. You are living in that light now. The same situations that once drained you have lost their power. The shadows that haunted you have faded. The peace you feel now is not fragile, it's final. Chosen one. This victory was not won by chance. It was cultivated through consistency. You didn't break because you were weak, you bent because you were wise. Like a tree in the storm, you yielded to the wind instead of resisting it. That humility kept you rooted when everything around you was shaking. And now the storm that once threatened you has watered your soil. Your roots have grown deep, your branches stretch wide. You are no longer surviving, you are thriving. The Spirit speaks through the Apostle Paul in his first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 57. But thanks be to God, He gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. That declaration is not ancient, it's eternal. Your victory is not self-made, it is God-given. It's not the product of luck, but of grace. Every battle you've endured was already written with a victorious ending. You simply had to walk it out. Heaven scripted the outcome long before the conflict began. Now, as you stand in this moment of fulfillment, take time to breathe it in. Let gratitude fill the spaces where fear used to live. You don't need to shout your victory, let your peace speak for you. The quiet confidence you carry is louder than any celebration. It says God did it, and He did it well. Think of your life as a lighthouse on the shore. For years, the waves crashed against your foundation, trying to silence your light. Yet here you stand, still shining, still steady, still guiding others through the storm. That's victory. Not the absence of waves, but the presence of light that refuses to go out. Chosen one, if this message finds resonance in your heart, if it reminds you of how far you've come and how faithful God has been, then pause and express it. Click the like button as a way of saying thank you, Lord, for what you've done. Share this message not for numbers, but for nurture, like ripples on water. Your simple act of sharing might reach someone drowning in despair. A single word of light can become a lifeline. And if your heart feels stirred, consider supporting the flow of these words. Every donation, every seed, every gesture of giving keeps this river of hope moving. Think of it like oil poured into a lamp. Each contribution keeps the flame alive for another soul still wandering in darkness. You're not giving to a platform, you're giving to purpose. Together, we keep the light burning. Make sure you subscribe as well. Not as a follower chasing updates, but as a believer staying connected to a continuous current of revelation. These messages are threads in a tapestry. Each one weaves into the next. By staying close, you remain part of this ongoing divine conversation, a sanctuary of words where heaven speaks and hearts awaken. And if your spirit is overflowing with gratitude, write it in the comments below. Let the space beneath this message become an altar of thanksgiving. Write what victory feels like for you, what you've overcome, what you've learned, what you're grateful for. Someone reading your words might find their strength in your testimony. Chosen one. Never forget, victory isn't a trophy you display, it's a rhythm you carry. It's in your voice, your presence, your prayers. Every place you go, you bring the fragrance of triumph with you. You are heaven's proof that storms end, that battles bow, that grace wins. So stand tall, radiant one, lift your face to the light. The sound of victory isn't just echoing around you, it's coming from within you. Heaven's anthem and your heartbeat have become one. You are the song of survival turned into celebration. And as you move forward, remember this truth: the same God who gave you this victory will sustain it. The same grace that brought you here will carry you farther. Your story is not ending, it's expanding. The world will know through you that light always wins. Chosen one, there is a peace that follows victory, a peace unlike anything the world can give. It is not loud or boastful. It does not demand to be noticed. It settles gently over the soul like evening light over calm waters. You've reached that sacred space now, the stillness after the storm. What once roared around you has grown quiet, and what once felt uncertain now feels aligned. You are living in the reality of what God promised long ago. This peace is not the absence of challenges, it is the mastery of them. You've learned that true strength isn't proven in battle, it's revealed in balance. You now know how to stand tall without striving, how to move forward without fear, how to live surrounded by movement yet anchored in stillness. That is what divine maturity looks like. The blessings unfolding around you are no longer fragile. They are sealed by grace. The miracle that once seemed at risk of slipping away is now secure, held firmly in the palm of God's hand. You don't need to fight to keep it, because what heaven seals, no one can steal. You are walking under the covering of the irreversible blessing. The Spirit affirms this through the writings of Proverbs chapter 10, verse 22. The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and He adds no sorrow with it. That truth now rests over your life. The blessings you're experiencing carry no hidden burden, no secret weight, no unseen cost. They are pure gifts from a Father who delights in giving good things to His children. You don't have to fear losing them, because they were never earned. They were entrusted. Grace is not a transaction. It's a transfer of divine inheritance. Chosen one, take a moment to reflect on how far you've come. Remember the prayers you prayed in tears, the nights you felt alone, the days you thought you wouldn't make it. Now look around, everything has changed. The same God who held you in the valley is the one who walks beside you on the mountain. He didn't just deliver you from the storm. He's teaching you how to live beyond it. You have become fluent in the language of faith. What used to confuse you now makes sense. You see patterns where you once saw pain, purpose where you once saw punishment. Every disappointment that once felt cruel now glows with divine design. The picture has come into focus, and the frame that once looked broken now holds beauty. But chosen one, remember this peace is not passive. The blessing you carry is alive, and living things must be tended. The peace God gives you is a garden. It thrives when you nurture it. Keep weeding out negativity, keep watering gratitude, keep pruning pride. That is how the irreversible blessing remains fruitful. The people around you will sense this shift before they understand it. Some will be drawn to your light. Others may be unsettled by it. You must not dim to make others comfortable. Peace is not arrogance, it's evidence of divine order. Walk in your light with humility, but never apologize for the calm that God has given you. You paid for this peace with perseverance. The irreversible blessing also means that your future is not fragile. You no longer have to live guarded, waiting for the other shoe to drop. What was unstable before is now established. The foundation has been tested and it held. You are no longer building on sand, you are rooted in stone. Chosen one. God's blessing does not just rest on your circumstances, it flows through your character. You are no longer the same person who entered the fire. You walk with quiet authority now, not from pride but from presence. You carry the awareness that everything you need is already provided. You no longer chase outcomes, you attract them through alignment. And yet, this peace is not complacency. It is preparation. The irreversible blessing is not an ending, it's an empowerment. God has anchored you so that He can now expand you. He can trust you with more because your heart is steady. The same favor that rests upon you will begin to ripple outward, blessing everything you touch. Your family, your work, your words all will carry the fragrance of heaven. The world will look at you and see stability, but what they're really seeing is surrender. Peace this profound only comes to those who learn to let go. You stopped fighting for control, and that surrender opened the gates for grace to rule. Now you live in rhythm with divine flow, unforced, unhindered, unshakable. Chosen one. This is the beauty of the irreversible blessing. It doesn't shout, it settles. It's not a flash of favor, it's a lifetime of fullness. You have entered the chapter of sustained grace, where miracles become maintenance and faith becomes rhythm. You are no longer reaching for survival, you are resting in abundance. And the best part, this peace is permanent. It will not fade with time or circumstance. It will outlast storms, silence, and seasons. It is heaven's signature over your life, the final seal that says, "What I have blessed cannot be undone." Chosen one. This is the unveiling, the moment destiny stretches into fullness and heaven's promise stands complete. You are no longer waiting for confirmation. You are living inside the manifestation. The storms that once tried to break you now lie silent at your feet. The wilderness that once tested you has turned into a garden blooming with peace. You are walking in the reality that was once only whispered in prayer. There is a quiet majesty and fulfillment. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare, it simply is. Like dawn spreading slowly across a landscape, it reveals what was hidden all along, the purpose behind every delay, the meaning within every tear, the strength forged through every trial. What once seemed random now feels intentional. What once hurt now heals. You realize that every chapter, even the painful ones, led perfectly to this point. Chosen one. This is what it means to be positioned by heaven, not that life becomes effortless, but that everything now flows in divine order. You've been through fire, through silence, through warfare, and through it all, you've discovered the constant that never shifted: God's presence. You have learned that destiny is not found in escape, but in endurance. Every scar on your spirit tells a story of divine faithfulness. The Spirit speaks through the writings of Paul in the letter to the Philippians. Chapter 1, verse 6. Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. That promise is your anthem now. The work in you is not just finished, it's flourishing. God didn't bring you this far to leave you in transition. You stand in the completed circle of His intention, the very place where prophecy becomes proof. You no longer have to reach for what's next. You can finally rest in what is. There's something profound about this resting. It's not the stillness of exhaustion, but the calm of arrival. For the first time in a long time, you can breathe without fear of losing what you've gained. You no longer wonder if the blessing will last, because you now understand it was never fragile. It was forged in fire, sealed in surrender, and anchored in faith. Chosen one. Look around you. The relationships that remain, the peace that fills your mornings, the opportunities unfolding gently before you, all of them carry the fingerprint of divine orchestration. Nothing is accidental anymore. You've entered the stage where even delays feel like design. Your heart beats in rhythm with heaven's timing, and that rhythm produces rest. There is a glow about your spirit now, a quiet authority that doesn't need to prove itself. You have learned that real power is not in volume but in vision. You see further now, feel deeper, discern faster, earn. You carry clarity that can't be shaken because it was birthed through struggle. This is the fruit of faith refined by fire. Chosen one. The world may never understand the cost of your peace. They see the light, but not the night that birthed it. But you know what it took to trust when trust felt impossible. You know what it meant to love again after being broken. You know the courage it required to hope when everything looked lost. That's why your peace feels so sacred, it's redemption in motion. You no longer move from desperation, but from devotion. Your steps are steady because your heart is sure. The path before you isn't without challenges, but it no longer intimidates you. You've learned that when God walks with you, no terrain is too rough, no mountain too high, no valley too deep. Your confidence now comes not from circumstance, but from companionship. This is the reward of endurance. The crown you wear isn't made of gold, it's made of grace. It sits lightly because it's been earned through surrender. The weight that once crushed you has become the wings that carry you. You no longer just believe in miracles. You embody one, chosen one. You have become the testimony heaven intended from the beginning. You are the living bridge between promise and fulfillment, between prayer and proof. Through your life, others will see what faith looks like when it finishes its course. You are the evidence that surrender never ends in shame, that obedience always leads to overflow. And now, as this journey settles into stillness, you realize that the miracle was never just the outcome, it was the transformation of you. You didn't just receive blessing, you became blessing. You didn't just walk toward light, you became light. Heaven didn't just position you for a miracle, heaven positioned you as one, chosen one. Stand in this truth and breathe. You are the fulfilled word, the completed promise, the vessel through which glory flows. The journey that began with uncertainty ends with unwavering peace. The story that once trembled with questions now sings with answers. You have been positioned, perfected, and propelled by grace. And though the journey continues, this chapter closes with divine finality. You have crossed the threshold. You are home in your calling, whole in your spirit, and radiant with purpose. The miracle that could not be stopped has become your life. Chosen one. Pause here for a moment. Breathe. Let the stillness settle deep within you. You've walked through revelation, through refinement, through the unfolding of heaven's plan, and now you stand at the close of this divine journey. You are not the same person who began reading these words. Something in you has shifted, softened, awakened. The weight that once held you down has lifted. The fire that once frightened you now glows gently within your chest. What began as a message has become a mirror showing you who you truly are: chosen, cherished, and unstoppable. The miracle you were waiting for was never somewhere outside of you. It was forming inside you all along. You are the living evidence that God finishes what He starts. The transformation isn't coming, it's complete. You have stepped into alignment with purpose, into peace that does not fade, into favor that does not end. But remember, chosen one, the story doesn't end here, it expands. What you've received is not meant to stay confined within you, just as a river doesn't keep its water. You were created to let this flow continue. Every word that moved your spirit can now move through you into someone else's darkness. You've been filled not for storage, but for sharing. So if this journey has touched something deep in your soul, If it has reminded you of who you are and who walks beside you, then let gratitude have a voice. Click like not as a routine gesture, but as a quiet amen to the transformation that has taken place here. Share this message so that the same light that reached you can reach another heart still waiting to awaken. And if you feel led, write your reflection in the comments below. Let your words become part of the altar of testimonies. Your story might be the spark that reignites someone else's faith. Subscribe if you haven't already. Not to follow, but to remain connected to this divine rhythm, to be part of a gathering of souls who listen, learn, and rise together. Each message builds upon the next, forming a bridge of revelation for those who seek the voice of heaven in the noise of the world. Chosen one, thank you for walking this path with faith and openness. The miracle has already begun to move through you. Carry this light into your tomorrow and watch how heaven continues to unfold through your life.